Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here, and we are back with the 7th or 8th, I don't know, iteration of the Festival of Legends card review. We're going class by class. Now we have Rogue, so let's get right into this one. So the first one we have here is Breakdance. 1 mana shadow spell, return a friendly minion to your hand. Summon a dancer with its stats and rush. So this is, they have a lot of shadow steps now. People were complaining about shadow steps, so they decided let's just give them like 6 of them so that they stop complaining about shadow steps specifically, and this is one of them, but this is the one shadow step that is a lot better in Arena than shadow step is, because this is actually just a good tempo card as well. You can potentially imagine you value trade a Yeti into something, and then you get like, I don't know, a 4-2 rush or whatever with this, and then you just also get to replay your Yeti. Ideally, obviously, as well, you would use it on a Battlecry minion that you can get more Battlecries or combos or whatever. You can definitely use this a lot in Rogue. With Rogue, you're going to have these kind of Battlecries and stuff that you're going to make this useful. You can, for example, as well, like imagine you just play this with like the 4-4 Spell Discover dude. I don't know if that's rotating out. Let's just pretend it like it isn't. You can use that to essentially give it rush, and then you get another spell discover the next turn. So yeah, it's so that would be a big way to use, is just to give anything rush essentially. I do believe that if it's damaged, you get like, it would only be the damaged thing, but you know, it has rush, so you would hopefully just be using it to clear something anyway. But yeah, I mean, it seems like just very, very good, right? This is a very, very good Arena card. Because yeah, you can use it to give rush, Wind Fury as well. You can't use Wind Fury face, but yeah, rush or Wind Fury, yeah, it's just doubling battle cries. It seems very, very nice. It's a much more proactive shadow step indeed. Next up, what we have here is Mixtape. This is a 1 mana spell. Discover a copy of a card your opponent played this game. So on turn 1, you get to just throw a card away. I imagine it won't actually, I wonder if it'll actually let you play it on turn 1. You imagine this will be a thing if you can. I bet it just won't let you. I wonder, actually, it'd be kind of funny. But in any case, this seems a little bit iffy to me, because what would make this thing so much better is if you could actually discover the last 3 cards your opponent played. So as soon as you play, they play their big win condition or whatever, you could always steal it. But a lot of the time, it's just you're not going to actually be able to steal what you want, because later on there are more cards they've played and you're just not always going to do it. You might hit their coin and stuff, so you will not always be able to get what you want. The ideal situation would be that your opponent plays some super broken like 3 or 4 mana legendary or something as their first 3 cards, and then you get to play this, and you could theoretically play multiple of these to steal multiple copies potentially. That would be the dream, right? But a lot of the time you're just going to be stuffing cards that are good cards because they're cards your opponent drafted, right? But you're paying a mana, so it's a little bit over costed, but you'll get good value, but I think it's just not going to be super great most of the time. But I think you would want to hold on later to get more value rather than just, I mean, what are you going to, unless they play, again, a really broken legendary early on, you're just going to steal some curve minion early, so you just want to play it later and just hope you high roll the value, right? So that's essentially what is a big value card. Potentially functioning almost like a faceless manipulator type thing, kind of, right? But not super reliable, I think. So it's a fine card, but probably not crazy good most of the time. Next up, you have Disc Jockey, a 2 mana 4/1 mech beast combo card. Add a random combo to your hand. So I mean, combo cards are pretty good. I assume this can't generate itself, right? I imagine, but because can you imagine? But it's a little bit weird because it's a 2 mana 4/1, meaning it's just gonna get pinged off a whole bunch. It does look like Octobot, that's true. Against like non-ping classes, this card's a little bit brutal, because then it's actually kind of good. As a 2 mana 4/1's actually not bad, and then you also get to do it. It's a little weird because you have to combo it. So I mean, against a non-ping class, you could just coin this, and then they're just kind of wrecked, right? You know, against ping classes, it's just doesn't seem super great. You would take this a lot more if you actually had some of the combo synergy, which we are going to be talking about in a second with some of these other cards. But overall, that makes it, I mean, not bad, right? Combo cards are pretty good, so you just play this later on and it replaces itself, and then it's probably fine. Again, just a little bit limited by the fact that it just gets pinged off. Next up, we have Harmonic Hip Hop. 2 mana shadow spell with 2 different forms, is one of those harmonic dissonant cards. First form is deal 1 damage, give your weapon +3 attack. The other one is deal 3 damage, give your weapon +1 attack. In either case, I mean, I guess half the time you can just play it. And on turn 2, you could just play it as a Wrath, right? 2 mana, deal 3, even if you don't have weapon equipped. I assume it's not going to force you to have a weapon equipped. Will it? Does anyone know if it actually requires you to have a weapon? Because that would make it a little bit more awkward. Otherwise, I mean, you can imagine that this is just essentially a much, much better deadly poison. Like, usually it's just going to be better, right? It is more expensive, but you get more. It would be weird. They have some cards where they kind of require stuff like that, but I would guess that it doesn't actually require you to have a weapon equipped. It would only be the dissonant form that you would even ever want to play. Like, you wouldn't really do this without the +3 attack, but I think it's better than deadly poison. I was never a big fan of deadly poison personally, but yeah, this one's solid. You can play it sometime in the mid game. It should be pretty solid, right? If you have it in the right form. Wait, the one thing is you can't really coin into this. You would have to top deck it because it always starts in the harmonic form, right? Which means if you have this in your opening hand, it's always going to be in the wrong form. So you can't really like coin dagger into this. So that's a little bit weird, but yeah, I mean, you'll be able to figure out times to make it work, right? You might just have to use it in this form because that's probably what you would want it for. I guess it doesn't make that big of a difference. Yeah, anyway, it's pretty solid, I think. Next up, we move on to Beatboxer. 3 mana 4/3 mech with combo, deal 4 damage randomly split among all enemies. So all enemies includes face, very important to note. But I mean, this is one of those cards that you can potentially, if you can coin this, breakdance it, I mean, there's a lot of potential, obviously. This is the thing that's going to happen a lot in Arena, is you're going to coin this on turn 3, or on turn 2, actually. You'll coin this on turn 2, and then whether or not this thing kills the minion on your opponent's board is going to decide whether or not you win the game, basically, which makes it toxic. But having said that, because it can go face, it's not always going to kill their 2-drop or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it just does enough that it's pretty solid. You can even just play it as a 3-drop if you want to. Even if you don't combo it, it still activates some of the other combo synergies later on. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to, if you're a skilled player, you're going to hate it, but it's so good that you just have to take it anyway. And then, you know, you might generate it randomly too and stuff. But yeah, let's move on. It's a solid card, unfortunately. Next up, we have Bounce Around featuring Garona. 3 mana spell. Return all friendly minions to your hand. They cost 1 this turn. Can't imagine you actually would really want to play this in Arena that much. Obviously, there's potential even in Arena that if you have a whole bunch of combo cards, maybe this is worth it. You know, you're probably just not going to abuse this as hard as you would be able to potentially in Constructed, right? It's Mass Shadow Step, but it costs a bunch more. Costs more, I guess not necessarily more mana, because if you're getting big things, you can replay them immediately. Yeah, it requires you to have a whole bunch of minions on board and stuff, so it just seems like it's a little bit too inconsistent. You just wouldn't really want to draft it. Maybe if you have like a whole bunch of combo cards, you could try, but a lot of things just aren't going to make it great. Next up, we move on to Mic Drop. This is a 3 mana spell. Draw 2 cards. With Finale, give your weapon +2 attack. It's a little bit weird because this is, again, all these Finale cards just aren't that insane, but then this one, I mean, okay, the Finale is a deadly poison. You're going to have a choice with this one. Sometimes you're just going to, if you top deck this on turn 10, you're just going to, maybe you just have to because you can't even trigger the Finale anyway, but you might just want to draw the cards because it's just more important than getting a free deadly poison, right? It is great that, okay, you just dagger on 2 and then you just play this on 3. That's pretty cool, right? You get a deadly poison and 2 card draws. That's pretty nice. And later on, again, you're at least getting an Arcane Intellect as well. So that's also pretty... So having said that, I mean, at any point in the game, you're going to get pretty good value out of this probably. You wouldn't like... I don't think you would want to like keep it early on just to plan on playing it on turn 3. If you're actually a tempo deck, you're trying to win early. But overall, I mean, yeah, Arcane Intellect, that gives you a free deadly poison a decent percentage of the time. Seems pretty legit. If you want to if you're in a deck that wants to just dagger on 2, incredible card, right? Decks that don't want to, still a solid card, so be pretty happy to take it. Next up, we have Record Scratcher. 3 mana 2/2 weapon. Death Rattle, refresh 1 mana crystal, play combo cards while equipped to improve. So, I mean, this is a weird constructed card, right? Like, you're probably not going to have enough combo cards to make this amazing, and even if you do, I mean, is competing with your weapon slot and stuff. Like you would have to have some kind of plan for this. The idea of this would pretty clearly be to set up some kind of OTK turn in a constructed, just not that's a constructed thing, not really an arena thing. So it just seems like not really a card in arena. It's probably not that bad because I mean you do get the mana back. Like it's not totally trash, but it's just I don't know. You'll usually have a better option. Next up we have Rhyme Spinner, 3 mana 1/3 rush minion with combo, gain +1/+1 for each other combo card you've played this game. So I mean this is one of those things where early on it's kind of useless. Like you're just not going to be able to. It's each other combo card doesn't activate itself. Like you just it does scale pretty darn fast with other combo cards. When you have this as even a single buff on this makes it like kind of okay. Not great, but kind of okay. And then any more than that makes it really good. You know, you're going to want to have this with disc jockey and stuff to be able to have the combo card that generates other combo cards specifically, right? That's the one you're really that's going to be the key activator for this card. So you just wouldn't, you know, you would never want to keep this in your opening hand. You would just toss it always, and unless you have all your combos and coin immediately. But overall, yeah, it's just one of those things. I think it's pretty solid. It's just you need to have some of the combo activators, and you wouldn't expect it to do anything early. But later on, it's just probably an overstat rush minion. Makes it pretty solid, right? The last one we have here is MC Blingtron. 5 mana 3/4 mech with battle cry. Both players equip 2 1/2 mech microphones. Your opponent increases all damage they take by 1. That's the broken microphone, which gives your opponent kind of like a mini curse blade type thing. So there's two things this card does, right? Number one is it destroys their weapon, which might be pretty nice because every class has weapons now. And you know, if they're trying to power up one of those instrument cards, all these cards that are powering up potentially, like the Druid one for example, especially, you get to cut it off before it can fully power up. But also they take additional damage from all sources. Use it as a finisher as well. So a lot of things it's doing there. However, I mean, it's just not like super reliable, right? It gives you just a microphone, which means that it's essentially like, I mean, you're essentially getting a dagger, right? So you can imagine it's like a 3 mana 3/4 with a dagger. It's not terrible, right? It's just, I feel like in the legendary slot, it's not super reliable when it's going to do, especially in arena. So in the legendary slot, I feel like you're just going to have better options a lot of the time. But especially in an aggressive deck, right? This microphone might just, that might be worth like 4 or 6 damage. It might just kill them. This will be an interesting one to see how this one does in the stats. So it feels just a little bit tricky to use. But with that, anyway, that is it for this review. If you like this one, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, comment there on YouTube. Thanks a lot for hanging out. We'll see you guys in the next one.